Whether it is for school, for work, or just personal use at home, we all eventually buy a computer. That's why today I'm going to help you figure out what is it that you need to look for when buying a computer. Listen, I know. Your first thought may be going down to the nearest Best Buy and buying the first computer that you find. But that's not really the best idea. The reason for that is buying computers at physical stores will always result in buying more expensive computers that do not offer any performance at all. You can spend a good $500 or more on a desktop at a store like Best Buy that will offer you the same performance of basically a DVD player. That's what you're paying for. So don't make that mistake. Don't buy computers at physical stores. It doesn't matter how cheap they are, it doesn't matter how good they look, it doesn't matter. They will always result in you overpaying. So that basically leaves you with one more option, buying online, which, as sketchy as that may sound, it's not actually that bad. Very trusted retailers or stores such as Amazon, Walmart.com, or even Newegg are completely safe stores that protect your information. It is completely safe to put your money into anything that you want to buy from these stores. So if you do not trust any of these online stores, you really should, because unlike physical stores, they will not rip you off. They also offer a much wider selection of computers, keyboards, mice, well, basically everything. Unlike physical stores, they are not limited by what they can have in stock. These online stores, they have everything in stock, always. So now that you have decided where you're going to buy your computer, you may be confused. What do I look for? What information is important and what information is not important at all? Which is why right now I'm going to tell you what is important and what is not important when buying a computer online. Now, when you first search computer on a website like Amazon, for example, which by the way I will be using that as the main example through this entire video, you will find a lot of different options varying in a lot of different categories. It can be very confusing if it is your first time. So let's get started with basics. The two main kinds of computers that you will find are AIOs or all-in-ones and normal desktops. You will also obviously find laptops as a main part of this search, but since laptops come in way different types of flavors and varieties, I'll try to keep that for another video if you want to see one. AIOs are basically the convertibles of computers. They look mainly like a monitor, but that's because they are. They're basically just a main screen monitor with a computer built into the back of it. All-in-ones come in many different varieties, sizes, and prices. The main kinds of all-in-ones that you will find are for home, for work, or even gaming. The ones for work are a little bit smaller and they have lower end hardware. Most of the time they have built-in Wi-Fi and sometimes with built-in Bluetooth. They come in sizes of about 21.5 inches all the way up to 25 inches. And when I talk about sizes for all-in-ones, I mean the size of the monitor itself. For home all-in-ones, you will find about the same kind of size with a little bit lower hardware, sometimes higher end hardware. Most of the time they do have built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth connectivity, and most of the time you will find cameras on these. The home all-in-ones are perfect if you have a small family or you need just a small computer because you have limited space. They work perfectly fine for whatever you need them to do, as long as you're not expecting them to do very heavy tasks. Gaming all-in-ones are basically the supercars of computers. They have much wider screens, varying between 29 inches and 34 inches. They have higher resolutions, built-in cameras, built-in Bluetooth connectivity, and Wi-Fi, and they come with real desktop and hardware. These will obviously cost a much higher price, but if you have the money to spend, these are the all-in-ones for you. Instead of having a separate gaming computer, which can be very big in size, it's all built into the back of your monitor, which is huge and has a higher resolution. A great example of one of these is the Origin PC 34-inch all-in-one. This thing is an epic computer with a huge screen with a high resolution, built-in camera, and real desktop and hardware that is super powerful. So when you're shopping for an all-in-one, what do you need to look for? What is important? What information do you need to know? Well, the main parts of the computer are the CPU, the GPU, and the motherboard. These are basically the parts that you need to pay attention to the most. You can find all of this information in the more about the product or info that will appear near the reviews in each page. In all-in-ones, you will find many ITX motherboards or just custom ones, so most of the time that will not matter too much. When it comes to CPUs though, you will need to pay attention to this. Make sure that the computer has at least a Pentium processor. These are lower end processors that run just fine for simple work work or home use. An Intel Core i3, Core i5, or Core i7 will be the kind of processor that you'll find in higher end all-in-ones. These are the main kind of processors that have been around in most computers all around the world, and they will work just fine for any kind of usage all day. When it comes to AMD processors, you will not find these as often in all-in-ones, but in case you do, you will be looking for an AMD FX series or an AMD A series. A8 or A10 series are preferred. When it comes to graphics, make sure it is dedicated for whenever you're buying a gaming all-in-one and integrated for whenever it's for anything else. Integrated graphics mean that the CPU is pushing the graphics for the monitor itself, which is very good for work or home use. Since you will not be needing too many graphics, you will do just fine with integrated graphics. On the other hand, you have dedicated. This means that you have a separate dedicated part of your computer pushing for those graphics. These are the GPUs. In normal gaming all-in-ones, you will have full-size GPUs. In laptops or in simpler all-in-ones, you will not find these as often, but whenever you do, there will be a special kind that are made to be smaller. Make sure you look up the information of the GPU if it is dedicated. Look up when it was released, what kind of graphics it's able to do, and what resolution it is best for. Depending on the information that you find, you will figure out if the product that you're looking at is good or not. One more thing to look at is storage. When it comes to storage, it can be very confusing for some of you. The main type of storage that you will find is RAM. This is a storage that the CPU uses as its own. It is not the main kind of storage, which is why you do not have to worry if you see 8 gigabytes of storage. That means that it has 8 gigabytes of RAM. In normal all-in-ones, you will find anywhere between 4 and 6 gigabytes, and in gaming all-in-ones, you will find 8 gigabytes and above. On the other hand, you have the normal storage. This can be in hard drives or HDD or SSDs, solid state drives. These can vary between 500 gigabytes and several terabytes for a hard drive and 120 gigabytes to, again, several terabytes for an SSD. For simpler all-in-ones such as home or work, you will not need too much storage, but whenever it comes to a gaming all-in-one, you may need a lot more. It just depends on which one you're looking at. So now that that is all out of the way, let's take a look at what you need to know about desktops. Desktops can be either the lemons or the trucks or the supercars or, well, basically everything of the computer world. They can come in way too many different varieties, way too many different sizes, form factors, everything. They vary in features, they vary in price. So what do you need to look for when you're buying a desktop? Well, most of the time they will advertise as SFF or ATX or Mini ITX or any of those. That's basically the size of the computer itself. SFF, Mini ITX, or HTPC are really small. They're around the size of a console and they can be placed in many different ways. Some of them can be mounted to the wall or to the back of a monitor, and others can be laid down like a DVD player or in their normal standing position. There is a limit to the features that these have. They are a great option if you're looking for a small computer that saves space but also does not compromise any features. The next thing you may be looking at is who is the seller. A lot of the pre-built computers come from HP, Dell, or a lot of the custom manufacturers that make gaming computers, which are a lot. If you want a simple desktop for home or work, you may consider buying one of the options offered by Dell or HP. These are smaller computers that do not compromise in the hardware for work or for home use at all. They normally come with Windows 7, but now they're starting to release a lot more with Windows 10. They come with a keyboard and mouse in most options, and sometimes even with a monitor. These are easy to set up and they save a lot of space. They also come with manuals and guides that teach you how to do everything. The next option will be all of the custom gaming PC manufacturers. Now these gaming PCs vary in a lot of different sizes, form factors, everything, and the hardware varies a lot also. Because there's way too much information about all of these gaming computers and all of the companies that make these, I'm going to try to save that for another time if you really want to know about them. Whenever it does come to buying a pre-built from one of the standard companies, these are some of the features to look for. Most of the time, they will all be about the same size. They are pretty small, as I've said earlier, so you don't have to worry about that. But whenever it comes to price and hardware, you may want to take a second look. When it comes to processors, you will be looking for Intel Core i3s or i5s. Those are the main kinds that you will want for these computers. Pentium and Celeron are also very common, but they are older kinds of processors, so you may not want that. When it comes to AMD, you will be looking for FX series or A series. As I've said earlier, A8 or A10 are obviously preferred. When it comes to graphics, it can either be dedicated or integrated. So once again, if if it is dedicated, look up what the GPU is, when it came out, and what it is best for. When it's integrated, you do not have to worry about these too much. Of course, whenever it's integrated graphics, you will not be able to play games on them or do anything heavy like video creation or graphics creation with these, but they are still a good option for just normal work use or home use. When it comes to storage, these sell with lower storage than normal. The average that you will find is a 500GB hard drive, and in newer options you will find a lower end SSD. When it comes to RAM, you will find anywhere between 2 and 8GB depending on when it was released, and in higher end desktops you will find above 8GB. If it advertises as 2017 newest desktop or best computer or working machine or anything like that, if it sounds sketchy, it is sketchy. So you may want to avoid those. Try to avoid computers that advertise as less than $200. Most of the time these have much lower end hardware and they are either refurbished or used, and you really want to avoid that. The price range that you may want to stick with will be anywhere between $200 and about $600. Anything above that would be considered a gaming PC, and if you're using a computer for work or home, you wouldn't really need one of those. If it says high-end graphics or anything else like that, pay more attention to that. It can either refer to the GPU or integrated graphics, but if it's referring to anything else, do not even think about purchasing this product. That means it is fake advertising, and that is information that does not matter in a desktop, so it is there for no reason. If the price is higher because of a certain feature it has, you may want to take a second look at what this feature is. If it is because it has newer hardware, it will be worth it to buy this computer. But if the computer has lower end hardware, which you can figure out easily using Google, and it is priced above $200, do not purchase this product. All of this means that whoever is selling it is trying to rip you off heavily. And if the computer is above $200 and says it is refurbished or advertises in a very sketchy way, or it is even used, do not purchase this either. You are also getting ripped off here. And by saying ripped off, I don't mean by the actual website, I mean by the separate sellers. Whenever you're buying computers, try to aim for computers that are being sold directly by the website, which is actually very easy to find out. If it isn't being sold by the actual website itself, you may want to look for whether it is being fulfilled by the website. In most cases, a lot of the things being sold on Amazon are fulfilled by Amazon, meaning that they're not directly sold by Amazon, but Amazon does keep up with the shipping and make sure it does get to your front door. A lot of the other things you need to watch out for when buying a desktop are basically the exact same whenever it comes to an all-in-one. There's not that many differences between the two of these computers besides the way that they are built. Because of that, I'm not going to be including as much detail for the desktops. But basically that's it. So now that you have new knowledge on how to buy a computer, go out there, see what are your options on many different websites, and purchase the best one. But anyway, that is basically it for this video. Right quick before we end it, I do want to explain one thing. I have not uploaded in a very long time because for most of that time, I did not have any good, decent enough video editor. I tried many different options, but none of them really worked for me. I recently just got one, and I've been learning slowly how to use it, so from now on, I will be able to upload more often. Another thing, the builds of the week videos that I started the channel off with are not going to be builds of the week anymore. They're going to be builds of the month. These videos take a very long time to make and take a lot of research beforehand. Because of that, I would really appreciate it if you supported this channel in any way you can, so that later on in the future I can offer better quality content more often. Please feel free to leave a like and comment down below what you would like to see in the future. If you have a friend or somebody in your family that is going to buy a computer soon, please share this video with them so that they will know what to buy and that they will not get ripped off. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe to watch more like it. And thank you so very much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.